This is Bishop Samuel Blakes, and you're listening to Real Talk with Mary J.
Happy Merry Monday, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk with Mary J. Real Talk with Mary J is a social outlet for a positive outcome, and we are so glad that you stopped by to share with us today. We've been celebrating all month long International Women's Month. So I have some powerful women that will be coming to you for the entire month of March. We started on last Monday with Dr. Yolanda Griffin, a powerhouse that shared with us some very important nuggets as it relates to credit repair and business credit. Handle your business. That was the theme for our discussion on last Monday. And today I have another powerhouse, guys. I have another powerhouse that is coming before you all on tonight. Ladies, get ready. I want you to go invite, go share, go tag someone to come into this space. I want to share with you just words of wisdom, words of empowerment and encouragement, and most importantly, knowledge, but applied knowledge. When we apply the knowledge, guys, that's how we become more powerful, a force to be reckoned with. We don't just want to be strong women that's just on the grind, carrying the weight, but we want to be powerful women. We want to be women of influence. And I have a woman of influence on tonight. She is a serial entrepreneur, an investor. She is also an income specialist. And I want her to share with you just a wealth of information from all of what she has learned over the period of years. Let's welcome her on the show on today, you guys. Welcome with me on today, Shateka Husser. Hi, Shateka.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And you are so powerful and dynamic in yourself, right? Like you are amazing.
Wow.
Thank you for letting me
Bless you.
here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming on the show. I know you have some amazing things forthcoming, and we're going to get into that in just a little bit. But before we get into all of what we're going to share tonight, I'm excited because we're celebrating International Women's Month. And of course, we have some powerful women, and I am so just excited that you came on to share with us to just drop some nuggets on us tonight. Will you let the people know all of what you do and who you are?
Absolutely. So I'm Shateka Husser. I'm certainly a retirement consultant and life insurance broker. I help you retire before you expire. So if that's what you desire and what you aspire, then we are the ones you hire. Our goal really is to get your bank account on fire with a whole lot of lifetime tax-free retirement income that you will not outlive. And so like she just mentioned, I'm an income specialist. So what I do is I help people get tax-free income that they will not outlive, because the biggest fear besides dying is running out of money, especially with advancements in medical technology and people living a whole lot longer. And literally just this morning was kind of glancing over, where they're actually looking at moving their retirement to age 68 because people are living so long and they don't want to have to pay, right? So we're all concerned that it might go away, but if they can't make it go away, they'll just delay, right? So you have to have a supplemental plan in place. And that's why I help you. I help you make that plan, because if you don't have a plan, we already know what that means. They're going to fail. So you're not taking care of your older self, unfortunately, and you could become a burden on your children or whomever in your latter years when you don't have to with proper planning. And that's really primarily what I help people do, Mary J. I help you design an income. So if you didn't know already, Social Security is an income, is an annuity. And I help people with annuities. I also help people with other types of products that's going to help them with income. So that's primarily where I focus. I also help people with life insurance. There's so many types of life insurance, but the best one that you need to have is the one that's available and ready when you need it. So it's not about all this other stuff that everybody's talking about, this, that, permanent term. It's about what can you afford that's going to be available for you and your beneficiaries when something happens to you, unfortunately, right? So that's primarily what I specialize in.
Wow, that's wonderful. And thank you once again for sharing all of what you do and who you are. You have a lot of information to share with our listening audience. And Shateka, I'll tell you why we're here today.
Okay.
Because Real Talk with Mary J is a social outlet for a positive outcome. And I deal with topics from social to spiritual. And I deal with, particularly, I empower women for the most part from my organization, Women of Treasure. And I find so many women, so many of us are living what we call the good life, right? The good life, but not really understanding money. Not understanding money, not understanding generational wealth, not having all of those things in order as it relates to us financially. I share a whole lot of topics from relationship standpoint. So many women that are powerful, that are beautiful, that are intelligent, but don't have their monies together, don't have their monies in order. And I find so many women fall short in that area, that end up in broken places because when they're not financially secure, financially stable, they rely on men to do it for them. And then they get entangled sometimes in relationships that are not healthy. So I am so happy to have you, beautiful, to share with us from the subject living the good life, because I believe that entails holistically, spiritually, financially, emotionally, right? All of those
Absolutely.
areas of our total being that makes us who we are so we can live good, healthy, wholesome, and productive lives. So thank you for coming once again. So we're gonna get right into the wealth of information and all that you have to share. First of all, you are a serial entrepreneur. I understand. Can you just share, before I tell your backstory, can you just share a little bit about your backstory to let
Absolutely.
people know what brought you to this place where you are right now?
Super excited to share that. So it started out with me being, of course, an Army officer, right? So that's what I did when I came out of college, and my goal was to go and secure my finances because I was born into poverty, but I said it was going to be up to me to not die there, right? So what I am out here doing today is teaching people what I wish I would have known before I started rolling in the dough. If that makes sense, right? So I didn't know how to position money properly in order for it to reward me in my latter years, right? So that's really what I'm all about. So I started with the Army, moved into corporate, right? So $2 billion companies. I was a high level leader there, making double six figures, right? So, that I noticed that today that is nothing. So, but I've been doing that. And then from there, moving on into, of course, investing. So becoming a multidimensional investor, from real estate investing to trading, in stocks and those types of things. And so now I've realized really how the wealthy are playing the game. And we're going to get into that a little bit more. But I'll tell you that my journey was one of freedom. I literally wanted more freedom. I
That's
wanted financial freedom, so I joined the military. I wanted time freedom, so I left the military. I wanted more time freedom, so I left corporate. And also, I wanted spiritual freedom, to be able to be used by God and to be able to have boundaries, no limitations, if that makes sense.
yeah,
Even from the military. So I got out of the military because I was like, I want to do full-time ministry, not knowing any better. But God had a different plan. It wasn't from the four corners of the church. It was more so from marketplace ministry. And so today, that's kind of where I'm at, in the marketplace, and even not just from corporate, but now as a business owner and entrepreneur. And so it's to be used by him as I can, really consult with him and find out what is it that you need me to do next, which leads me to where I currently am today, which is doing something sometimes you don't want to do, but you answer God, and your arms are just too short to box with God. So
yeah,
you just, surrender and you yield to his will, and you say, okay, God, not my will, but your will be done. Right.
right.
In that there is a special blessing, and there's a special apostolic blessing, because it's like he'll move you from territory to territory sometimes. And it's uncomfortable because he's stretching you. He's doing a new thing. He's always doing a new thing. Isaiah 43:19. And it's very apostolic because it's like you're going from territory to territory and you're literally disrupting that area that you're at to do something new. And I did that in Baltimore with an event that I put on there. And now I find him having me do the same thing here in Charleston, but each time very, very quickly, like, Lord, do I have enough time? Right. But he is showing you who he is when he tells you to do something quickly, because you don't know who he is unless he stretches your faith, unless there's a miracle, unless there's super rest on your natural, because you cannot do it in and of yourself. Right. You have to have help. To your point, people look to man to help them in their finances, but the man is the one that will help us with our finances if we would just yield to his will. And there's so much blessing. Listen, it's unlimited finances. It's unlimited freedom. And my definition of freedom is not just finances, it's location freedom, it's time freedom. And so that's what I see as wealth today, right? Yes. And my wealth acronym is different from most people's, right? So it's wise entrepreneurs and leaders transforming history. So we're talking about history makers, movers, and shakers. We're in the Women's History Month. So you, Mary J., are the first to do it in your family, right? And many of us are the first to do it in our family. Rather, it's, doing your podcast, doing your show, making the money that you make, doing whatever God has called you to do. You're probably one of the first. You're probably the trailblazer, and not only your family, but in your community. And so as a wise entrepreneur and leader transforming history, wealth, God has called all of us to answer the call of our personal mission statement, our life mission that he's given us, the objective that he's given us, that cannot be found by a coach, a pastor, a therapist, or anyone, but only found in him and in his presence. That's why I practice being in his presence, which I would not have that amount of time working in corporate. I would not have that amount of time working on, any type of W-2. Nothing wrong with it, because I did it for several years. But when he transitioned me and allowed me just to literally, right? Because he will listen, when you don't leave, when he tell you to leave, he'll make a way for you to leave. How about that?
I know it.
That's so the disruption that we're talking about is him saying, it's my will, not yours. It's not about you. It's all about what I'm trying to do through you. And sometimes we don't understand it, but when we recognize and we yield, even though we may do it reluctantly, there's so many powerful, powerful blessings that we could never have tapped in. It's really miraculous. And it's like the favor of God on our life to do certain things that we never could have done on our own. Literally. Like, I never could do what I'm doing, because a prophet is without honor in their hometown. I'm in my hometown. It has been extremely hard compared to my first event that I did in Baltimore, when I was a complete stranger. I was so easy breezy, so many sponsorships. It was like, this is easy. God, this is easy. But then I come here and it's like, oh my gosh, are you sure you want me to do this? Do I have to do this? So it really is about yielding. And so I feel like wealth is really about, losing your mind to gain the mind of Christ, so that you can really tap into what it is that he has in store for you, because otherwise you never will. It's going to not make sense to you. It's going to be a stretch of your faith. It is going to not make sense at times. Right. But God's ways and his thoughts are so much higher and greater, according to Isaiah 55:8. It's so much higher, and we can't even understand or comprehend his manifold wisdom sometimes until we're in the assignment, until we're doing it. You know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, that's why. And that's why Romans 8:28 says that all things are going to work together for the good of them.
Absolutely.
And are called according to his purpose. So as long as it's about him and it's not all about you, you cannot go wrong. You cannot fail.
Absolutely. This is where we are, today. And you started off saying, I wanted freedom, right? And a lot of people really don't understand, or don't have everybody has their own definition of freedom. But when you really tap into really time freedom, it's on a whole nother level, understanding you governing your time as God is leading you, as he's unctioning you and directing you to do the things that is in the set frame of the hours of that day, that particular day, and just being in that moment where you can really just do what you know that God has called you to. I understand you said that in the beginning you wanted full-time ministry, but let's hear about that. How was that journey?
Oh yeah, I did want that in the beginning. I was young and zealous and just
Zealous.
Didn't have a whole lot of knowledge, but had a whole lot of zeal.
And a lot of fire, right?
They called me Fireball in Germany when I gave my life to the Lord at the age of 23. And we are
Praise
25 years going strong today. All right. So, but yeah, I definitely wanted to do full-time ministry because I felt like I felt like that's where I needed to be at that time. But I didn't realize that ministry costs, even though you want to do full-time ministry, and how was that going to work? I have no plan. But God it didn't happen to where I was full-time ministry, but I did a lot of ministry while working in corporate. Listen, every place I went with the military as well as corporate, I had roles, several roles, right, in the church. So I know how to church, I tell people, right? And so it really is about, whatever my hand finds to do. And so I realized through everything that I am absolutely called to intercession, if nothing else, right? So, and I do that primarily on Clubhouse every morning at 6 a.m., Monday through Friday.
Wonderful.
I lead that in the Winning and Wealth Club on Clubhouse. And it's pretty powerful. The Lord visits us, and we have had a lot of praise reports that come out of those prayers. But of course, that's really where we're challenged to grow even more, because as intercessors, we get bombarded with a lot. We feel a lot. There's a lot of burdens and those types of things. But we still got to continue to move forward and do what God has called us to do, even when we feel the burden beyond the burden. And so, so I feel like my call is primarily to intercession and then everything else, if you had to ask me.
Yes, yes. And so walking through where God has you, where he's taking you, and now multiple streams of income, teaching people how to become great investors, to invest their money and to understand money, because a lot of times we don't understand where the money is not working for us. We're so busy working, going after trying to gain as much as we can. And so will you just share from your platform, and I know you're having this great event and we're going to talk about that. You can really go right into that. Let that just lead you right into your event and what it is that you would be sharing. Now, you said wealth. Break down that acronym for us once more, and then you tell us the people that you are attracting to this particular event as well.
Sure. So, so wealth stands for wise entrepreneur and leaders transforming history. And so, this is a mindset. So it starts with the mind. All right.
Yes.
You have to, I'll just say your spiritual mind first. You have to spiritually experience it, and then you'll begin to manifest it in the natural. We talked about, broken women that are broke, right? Because of probably retail therapy and those types of things, instead of looking to God to really help them be whole, so you don't have to spend all that money unnecessarily to look like something for somebody that's not even good for them and not even destiny altering for them anyway. So I know that that we're attracting, the goal is to attract business owners and career professionals, ideally. That's what we want to attract. However, it may not be those individuals that come. But their goal really is to let that theme, because it's called the I Am Wealth Symposium. The reason why is because that's literally an affirmation that says, I am wealth, understanding who you are, understanding what your identity is, understanding your purpose. Because if you don't know who you are, you're going to get frustrated and your why is going to be meaningless, right? Like your mission, your business is going to be meaningless because it's not even about who you are, like your identity, like who God created you to be. And so that's why so many people are unfulfilled and want to harm themselves. I'll just say it that way. They want to harm themselves because they're so frustrated with life because they don't even know who they are. And so life is meaningless. It's not fulfilled. And so when you know who you are and you have purpose and you have identity and you're excited about that thing because you're clear that this is what God has called me to do.
Right.
There is an energy level that won't require an alarm clock, won't require any coffee. Listen, it might wake you up before your alarm clock, because you're so excited to really do the work. and it's like it's so much to do because honestly, I don't know. People say God isn't talking, but when you have a lot of purpose and passion, God is always talking. Matter of fact, my plate is full. Your plate is full because He's always dropping things in your lap to say, do this, do that, to enhance what it is that He's already told you about the vision. And that is why you don't have a whole lot of room for things that are not or not in alignment or not in harmony. It's not harmonious for what it is that you're already doing. I heard our bishop, Daddy Blake, say that once, and
yeah,
so it's really about the harmony that we have in terms of our vision. And so it can become unfruitful and it can be very costly. It can cost you your peace. It can cost you, a whole lot when you're not winning in wealth, because your wealth is really about your purpose and your identity and your assignment, right, in the earth. And so it would be really not a good deal. Like I know I've heard Miles Monroe say it, and Les Brown, that the graveyard is a place that is the most wealthiest place because people haven't fulfilled their dreams, right?
Two of my mentors as well. All three, you got all of them covered.
Yeah.
Bishop Marcy, Les Brown, and Dr. Miles Monroe, of course.
Look, we sisters from another mister. But yeah, seriously, like we really need to understand like who we are, because it'll help us to streamline our time better, and our relationships, right? Because especially if you're someone single, right, and you're still waiting on your mate, you'll know that that's not the person, because they're not going to be able to fulfill where you are going. If you're clear about where you're going, you can't even entertain the wrong person, all right, up front. So it is like I was getting back to, it could rob you of so much and cost you to be poor in influence, poor in options, poor in relationships, poor in this all areas of your life, right? When you don't have the identity and the fruitfulness that the Bible talks about. I think everybody thinks he was only talking about children. He was talking about being fruitful and multiplying, talking about being productive in the earth. How are you going to take inventory of your existence in the earth? What are they going to say about you at your funeral? Right? So it's not just about a W-2, although that is a means to an end. I would never tell anybody to leave their job, right? We want our money to work for us while we're sleeping, unless we're going to work for money all the days of our life, is what Warren Buffett has said. So what I help people do is understand, and what I wish I would have known a little sooner, and that was how money works. So that's all I pretty much do. I don't help you with too much with investments. I primarily will help you understand, like the four financial cornerstones and what they mean and what that looks like primarily. So understanding how tax advantage planning can help you, because unless you're able to understand, and this is the one thing everybody got to understand, especially in the African-American community, and that is that the IRS code is not set up for the W-2 employer, right? Employee. The IRS code is set up for the business owner, okay? And that's why Robert Kiyosaki speaks about the 4 quadrants in his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And he said that 95% of people are on the left side of the quadrant. 95% of people are trading time for money. The other 5% let their money work for them. They are business owners or they are investors. And even investors know, listen, don't pull that money out. Let that money keep gaining capital gains. In other words, growing without pulling it out, because they know that when you take the money out, it's going to be taxed, capital gains taxes, right? So the goal is to just continue to let your money grow for you while you're sleeping, and grow, and don't pull it out until you need it as much as possible. And then, of course, as a business owner, you have, before COVID, 475 deductions, and then after COVID, over 675 deductions. People are living, what do you call it, high off the hog, and only the older people know what that means. That means that's the good meat. All right. So listen, so really you want to understand how money works. So if I can get you to understand taxes, because if I can get you to keep more money, that money is now going to be able to produce more wealth for you, more peace for you, more harmony. Okay, because you don't have to work. You can now build your business. You can now do your full-time ministry, which is your business, which is you being an entrepreneur, taking a risk, because you're risking it with God, and understanding that if you're led by Him, He's not going to let you fail.
Right.
The goal really is to understand that those 4 quadrants, taxes and how it works, is the number one thing that I think a lot of people don't. In fact, I know most people downplay or don't really pay attention to. And because I literally went personally from paying taxes, about 5 figures, to getting that back, literally. because I reposition and listen. It's about who is your tax preparer. It's not
Right.
enough to have just a tax preparer. You need a tax advisor. Who is
Yeah.
it that you're talking to that's going to help you to reposition your money to give you more money back, right? And God bless me to have, no pun intended, or not to offend anybody, but my tax professional is a CPA who happens to be a Jew and was able to get me 5 figures back, right? All right. And so the goal is to find that person that's going to be able to help you win in wealth as it relates to your taxes, as it relates to positioning your money. So when we think about there's 6 steps to financial freedom. We talk a lot about freedom. The number one thing is cash flow. Most people don't have enough cash flow. I don't care. You can make 6 figures like I did, right? And you don't know where the money went, right? Because all those taxes, because you
Yeah.
don't know how money works. It's like a hole in
Yeah.
your pocket. And for some of you, you're not paying your tithes, so that's another hole. And um, some people don't believe it. Everybody got their own belief, and it's really understanding that cash flow has to be increased. That's really what Warren Buffett was talking about. That number one thing, cash flow, is to
Mhm.
help you realize how can your money make money for you while you're sleeping. How can you increase the cash flow? How can you stop the bleeding, right? Okay, so there's some expenses that you're incurring that you really don't need, right? You can trim a lot of fat. For some of you, all those subscriptions that you have on your Apple, or
Yeah.
you have an Android, whatever,
Right.
but you're paying a lot of money out that you don't necessarily see because you don't even have a budget. And I know people don't like budget. I promise you, I never used a budget ever, right? And I had to learn, right, that that's the best way to do it for most people, because if you don't know what you have coming in, how you know what you have going out, especially as a business owner. And how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you have those bad habits as a non-entrepreneur or non-business owner, you're going to carry that over into your business. And the number one thing as a business owner you need to have is a bookkeeper. Like, they need to help you with your books, right? Because you're not going to do it. You're so busy running the business, right?
Right.
Are you paying taxes properly? Are you positioning yourself to be able to save more money? I see a lot about taxes because it is one of the biggest termites that people have. Interest, poor credit, because you're paying higher because your credit is poor. To your point, you
Right.
had Yolanda Griffin, you said.
Yeah.
So if you can get to understanding how credit works, huge. Most people in our community don't want credit because they think of credit as bad. You need
Right.
to use credit as leverage. You take the money that the credit had. Listen, I wish I didn't even know this. If I knew what I know today, I'm just giving you my mistakes. $150,000 credit card was offered to me. I didn't take it because I didn't know any better. I said, I don't want no credit because I don't want to run it up. I didn't
Yeah.
know I could take that $150,000 and do some things that could help me to purchase for my business or build a business with, right? I wasn't thinking that way. So
Right.
people today are using for leverage to build businesses, rather as Turo, Airbnb, buy a property from somewhere. I know people say, oh, you can't buy properties, but yes, you can. You can take the money off the credit. People do it all day long.
Mhm.
Okay, you can move your credit you can liquidate your credit. It might be a little expensive, but at the end of the day, you're using other people's money. And so that's what the wealthy do. They liquidate their credit and they leverage it to build businesses or to expand the business that they currently have with greater advertisement, greater marketing. So credit is not a bad deal as long as it's going to cause you to make more money.
Yeah.
Assets. If listen, it's either assets or liabilities. So we know it. The reason why we have a stigma with credit is because we use it as a liability. We use it to be flashy. The rich people are actually poor, right?
Right.
Listen, the poor people look rich, and the rich people sometimes look poor. And so
Right.
if we could just change that up a little bit and make sure that our credit is leveraging your life insurance policies. We can get into that. That's another whole course. But most people look at life insurance as a bill instead of looking at it as a means of compounding your money in your sleep with a whole lot of benefits, structuring your own private pension plan. And that's what I teach people. You have a private pension plan that the wealthy have been using for so many years. There's probably 14 different ways that you can use a life insurance policy, and most people don't even know one or two. They just think it's for burial. They don't know that you can have what's called living benefits that's going to be able to pay for your medical. All right. In many
Mhm.
instances, when you have chronic, critical, or terminal illness, heart attack, cancer, stroke, dementia, some types of long-term care, it can pay for all those types of things. People don't know that you can take the money out and leverage it to buy or purchase or expand your business, scale your business, and the money be in two places at the same time. The money's in your business, but it's still compounding inside of your account as if it never left there. You don't even pay any interest on it until 1 year if you take it out as a loan, right? Because the
Right.
IRS notices, they say that that you can use that, right, for A lot of people don't know that that's why people have retirement income. They leverage their policies to live off for the rest of their life insurance, whole life or index universal life, depending on who you are and what you're trying to accomplish. Is a whole consultation needed. We don't give recommendations. I'm not giving any financial advice on this right now. I'm not giving you a consultation. I don't know your financial situation, but I'm just telling you what a lot of people are doing that have consulted with a professional about their finances. They have taken the money out of their policy and they have leveraged it so many different ways. When we talk about living the good life, there is a way that you can literally use life insurance the same way you use a mortgage. Okay, so you refinance your home, you finance your home and you have a mortgage on it. And the root word of mortgage means paying forever until you die. Okay, let's just say that. Now you can do the same thing with your retirement. And you can literally take out a loan and put a mortgage on your retirement because a lot of people are behind and we call it the catch-up plan. So for every dollar that you put in, you can borrow $3 to be able to catch up in your retirement. And you have this wonderful lavish income for the rest of your life. And it's like a 15-year plan. Same thing what you're doing with your mortgage, but you don't get any income out your mortgage. And I don't know why people sit on the equity inside of their homes when you could take that money out and literally finance your retirement account. Literally. And now you're using that money multiple ways because you're putting it inside of maybe a life insurance product that's going to be able to be used 5 different ways for your medical. Because here's the deal. In retirement, most people, I just say 69% of bankruptcies are caused by people who have failing health, unfortunately, right?
Yeah.
They have medical challenges. They didn't plan for that. Nobody plans to get cancer. Nobody plans to have a heart attack. Nobody plans to have a stroke. But unfortunately, it happens. And if you had a policy, you could have leveraged that $300,000 death benefit, all of it, to be able to pay so you don't go bankrupt while you're living. So it's not just about the beneficiary. It's about the person that is actually needing it while they're living during their lifetime. Take out a loan, pay off your and what happens if you don't pay it back? It's just subtracted from your beneficiary's death benefit, right? So instead of you giving them $300,000, if you took out $50,000, they get $250,000. Are you going to be hurt and broken by that? Maybe. Then you just get another policy. But there's a lot of different ways. I'm just kind of like, as I'm having conversation with you, Mary Jane, kind of glossing over it. But listen, it's so much that I was able to learn about life insurance and what it does for us as a people. Term, I will never bash it, but there is really no real return on investment, right? But it does help you if you cannot afford to have a permanent policy. It's going to give you some type of compounding while you sleep and living benefits and the ability to take out a loan and the ability to have an income for the rest of your life or to pay off loans, right? Some people are in debt. They want to know, how do I pay off that debt? Well, there's policy structure to help you pay off your debt no matter what it is. Student loans, mortgage, in 7 to 9 years. So there are all types of ways that you can definitely leverage it. Yeah. I feel like I'm having holes everywhere because I don't have any notes. I'm just kind of
No, this is good stuff because a lot of the information that you're sharing, first of all, there's so many people who don't even think that way, who have not even really taken time out to really think about it. When we think about life insurance, first of all, what we think about is dying, right? Dying and leaving enough money to be buried. No one is really understanding. Well, I'm not going to say no one, but many of us are not really grasping it because it's not really taught in these type of platforms, and we have to pay for this type of information, of course, and so we don't have it and we don't know. And whenever it comes to us as an African American people, a community of people, when it means investing money to receive information, it's always on the back burner. It's always the very last thing on the list because we feel like we got to go sit and we got to receive this information from someone, tell us some things that we don't understand. But when we really get an understanding of what wealth really is not living in a mansion. It's not driving the finest cars. It's not any of that, but it's a mindset.
It is a
mindset. If you have a mindset to just shift your paradigm, to think differently, and to really break up all of those, not only those generational curses, but all of those old traditions and old barriers, all that old way of thinking, that we can understand to shift it and be open. more open to receive. So what you're teaching right now and what you've shared with so many that have watched and will watch the replay, I'm sure, and I'll be sharing it on all the social media platforms. We have to really get this. You know, the Bible teaches us, with all thy getting, get an understanding. And when
Yes.
we don't have an understanding for something, then we have to seek resources and people that do have it, that can really simplify it for our lives. So thank you for sharing that information with us as it relates to our life insurance. You know, being able to leverage off of your life insurance and have life insurance where you can in turn take that money and invest it in something else. And that is how the wealth is doing, and that's how they're living, and that's how we need to be taught. And I believe these kingdom principles, they're in the Bible, and that's where we should be teaching it from the Word of God. You know, whether it's in the pulpit or in conferences or workshops or on platforms like these, but we definitely should go back and empower the people, right?
Yes.
So as it relates to that, like I was saying before, we teach women, and we're always talking about relationship. We're always wanting a Boaz. We're looking for our Mr. Right. You know, so am I. I desire to be married, but that is not my driving force. Is
No.
to find someone that I don't have to work anymore. Find someone that, you know, I don't have to deal with all of this. It would be wonderful to have someone that you can join with and connect with on a level. But first, you have to really know who you are. You have to know what your vision is, what God has called you to do. Where are you going?
Yes.
Before you yoke up with someone and help with their vision, and you find yourself being diminished in the shadow of somebody,
Come
not
on.
really knowing who you are, not understanding who you are. And that's what I see so many women doing. That's why I wanted this month, because they're ready to talk about relationships. But this month, let's get some knowledge as it relates to our monies, being more stable financially, and understanding the principles on how to apply money, where to apply money, when to invest in money, and when to just not be so frivolous without
Yeah.
spending, you know. And that's something that we need to do as women. So thank you for sharing that with us on today. I see James
Yes.
Morris is here. He's saying this is great content. Know who you are.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yes.
You mentioned kingdom, and this is definitely kingdom. And I just put that in the, Shateka. I got a revelation that Shateka means soaring higher at teaching everyone kingdom abundance. And today, even more so, I thought about it is not just the people in the church, because my ministry has always been outside. My outreach is all. It's I love outreach. I used to do prison ministry and all those types of things, and I just feel like that's part of my personal assignment. But when I prayed, as you mentioned, women want to have someone in their life, they may be single. I asked the Lord to just bring me a companion. Like, God, I just needed a companion, somebody to, spend time with. I didn't ask for a husband, but he sent me a companion quickly. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, that's all I needed to pray for. So it happened. And so when I tell you it's been a blessing, because you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know how much help you really need until you have the right person in your life. Like, this is a real man. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Yes.
So God will definitely, he definitely wants the best for us. I believe that we have to be better stewards over everything that I mentioned, right? When it comes to freedom, we got to be better stewards over our time, our finances, our gifts, our talents, our vision that he's given us to do, our identity that he's given us. When we're a better steward and he can trust us, then he will bring what we need, right? I feel like we have to prove to God that we're worthy of what it is that we want, right? So God is not going to give you $1,000,000 if you can't steward $1,000, right? And
Right.
so understanding and having a plan and an assignment for your money before you even get it is super important. I
That's
think
great.
we underestimate what is the assignment for my money. What am I going to do? How is that going to bring glory to God when I get this money? Because it isn't about you. And to your point, the Bentleys and the houses and all that. It really is about, how do we bring glory to our life so that God is glorified in the earth?
Right.
Last year.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of what you shared, Shatika, let the people know what you have for coming. You have this great event that's coming forth. When is your event held? And let them know how they can. Is there still time to register for it as well?
Yes, ma'am. And we actually have radio advertisements happening this week. But we're definitely going to be starting on next Saturday. It's going to be a 1-day event. It is the I Am Wealth Symposium. You can literally go to iamwealthsymposium.com, held in North Charleston, South Carolina, right where I grew up at. I did not put an exact location because I wanted people to register. I don't want a whole lot of people coming to the event and having to register, because the goal is to get you to register so we can stay in contact with you and keep you informed of pertinent information as it relates to the actual event and how you can participate, because we are going to be giving away $250 cash giveaways, right? We have that going on. And we have a young lady that's going to be from the newscast, from the news channel 4 News, possibly coming. So we have some different things planned for the audience to be able to participate, ask questions. We have women coming from as far as Baltimore and Ghana to Charleston, South Carolina, to be able to pour and to be able to share. Of course, because it's Women's History Month, it's women speakers, but all genders are welcome. We definitely aren't discriminating because wealth doesn't have a gender, right? So as you can see here, we have Janet Tompkins and Emma and Shakima and Leona. And we have I got to say her name properly, but she's coming from Ghana. And we have, give me one second. I'm gonna tell you what it is. Nataki Camden. She's coming from Ghana. Shaniqua Washington, and then Kim Sally. And so these women are going to be speaking on topics between real estate investing, with one actually having $170 million worth of residential and commercial property between her husband, and their partners. That's Janet Tompkins. She'll be our keynote speaker. Emma is definitely one that's going to be speaking primarily on, marketing, because she's named Google's 2021 Business of the Year. Shakima has $10 million in sales, okay, and as a realtor. Leona is a dynamic tax professional, and she has a significant amount of knowledge as it relates to helping business owners as well as individuals. So Nataki from Ghana is going to be primarily helping with business development. She works with a lot of high net worth business owners, in the 7 figures and 8 figures. And so she definitely can help you with scaling and also funding for your business. And so Shaniqua is going to be helping with content creation and fashion design. She definitely is one that's all about the fashion, and she does a lot with content creation. Kim has a studio and a TV studio, a radio studio, and she also has a school as well as a dance team and a dance team that she works with. And so she's done a lot with that. I've been on her campus and I've seen it all myself, so I know it's real. But yeah, all these women in Baltimore. So she's from Baltimore. Janet is from Baltimore. And then Nataki is from Ghana. Everybody else is local here to Charleston. And of course, you have me here. I'm in Charleston, and Katrina as the mistress of ceremony, who is also a first lady, and definitely one that's looking to continue to help others in her community build wealth. And so we all be coming together on next Saturday, 9 to 5. We'll have breakfast, a light breakfast in the morning with networking, and then we'll jump right into the content. And then, of course, those that are VIP will be able to go and have a luncheon with the speakers and receive a digital swag with the information from the different speakers that we'll have in terms of their PowerPoint presentations and those types of things. And we'll also have, you can have, of course, preferred seating depending on which VIP you are. Everyone is a VIP at this event. Those that come for free are the gold VIP. The middle selection would be the middle option, I should say, is going to be the diamond VIP, and then of course platinum VIP gets everything. And then they also get a copy of our last virtual symposium with about 5 master classes or more inside of that, in addition to everything that we mentioned already. And so it's just going to be a wealth of information for people to understand these trailblazing women that have been very successful in their industries, and how they can help you win in wealth. Really is what the event is all about. Wise entrepreneurs and leaders transforming history. So they are all, none of them had a silver spoon in their mouth. The one young lady, Leona, teenage mom, 5 children today, and married, but none of these women have had a silver spoon. They've all, like you hear people say, bootstrapped or got it out the mud. And so they can help you to win in wealth right where you are.
That's so awesome. And this is going to be next Saturday. What is that date next Saturday?
The 25th of
The
March. So
20th.
last Saturday of March. Yes, right in North Charleston, right where I grew up.
Wow, wow. And this is so wonderful, Shatika. And I you didn't mention anything about virtual participation. It has to
I
be
want you to be there because it's a live event for a reason. We want to network. We want to, touch you, hug you, talk to you. We really want to see some strategic partnerships come out of this event,
that's
aside
awesome.
from the information that we have, right? And usually you don't get that same type of energy on a virtual, right? Of course, we
Right.
will look at maybe doing a replay, but it's not the same. I don't know about you, but I'm a networker at heart, and I love
Yeah.
to see people and talk to people. I guess it gets me out of my office space because I work, in my office most of the time and rarely get out. But I love to do networking events.
Yes, absolutely. That is totally awesome. I was just asking because even for myself, for somebody that may not be able to be there physically, to be in your state at that time, to be able to go online and register and participate online as well. So
Not this one because of a lot of reasons that a lot of challenges, but that's definitely something that we are looking at for the future.
awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
You all have a great deal of content also that you'll be sharing with all of these powerful women that will come with a wealth of information. Just some great content to share with people.
Yes.
So yeah, looking forward to hearing more about it and staying connected. Iron does sharpen iron, and we know that.
Yes.
And you have always been such a delight from the very first time we met years ago back at Swim with our spiritual leader, our father daughter talk man, Bishop RC. I
Yes.
thank God for him and Lady Lisa. So you have always been such a delight with such a wonderful personality, a
Thank you.
people person that really engage people. And I really, when I first met you, Shatika, I really felt your genuine love for people. You have such a genuine heart for people, regardless to who they are, where they're from, what walk of life, what their story is. You have a genuine love for the heart of people. So I can see God doing what he's doing in your life and having you to touch and change lives by this way of then you networking and sharing all of the information that you share. So thank you once again for coming on to share with us. In closing, do you have any remarks or anything that you would like to share with our listening audience as it
Yeah,
relates
sure.
to
Yeah,
whatever it is that
I
you
just
have?
wanted to be clear on, like, when it comes to roles and titles and those types of things, I want people to be clear on what it is that I do. I don't want to touch anyone's money. I'm not necessarily going to be an investment advisor for anyone. I am going to help you with, understanding how money works and how to position your money. Some of the things that we talked about today, we kind of did some high glossy, type of information, but we can deep dive those as it relates to you specifically. And we do have a free retirement planning guide. That's 18 pages that we do give out complimentary. If you're looking for some more information to start taking action towards your retirement, no obligation. It's absolutely free. Just go to shateka.com, as she's had on the screen there. My name, shateka.com, SHATEKA.com, and you can get your free download. Listen, Mary J, we are growing up, right? We're maturing in Christ.
That's
When we met,
right.
we were like, years ago. When was that? 2016 or something like that?
It was, I believe it was for the very first swim, for the very
Right,
first Queenology
right.
conference, I believe.
And
Yeah.
that's when God told me that he had a Deborah anointing on my life, right there at that conference. And so I just wanted to say
Wonderful.
that you're a powerful woman. I see what you're doing. I want you to stay encouraged in all that you are doing. But I know it's not
Yeah.
always easy when you're trying to do the Lord's work and people don't understand that the mantle that you have and the challenges that you have, but we get through it. But if I can do anything to help you in any way, definitely want to make sure that I'm here for you as a sister. Because under Daddy Blake's, you can't help but grow up. You can't help but mature. You can't help but
That's
understand
right.
how to win, not only in wealth, but to win in relationships. He's phenomenal, and his wisdom around how to help us to win in relationship. I think that's the foundation of anyone's life. And if you can have a healthy, non-toxic environment when it comes to relationships, you can win. I feel like I'm winning because I got a good, wholesome companion in my life. Like before, I
Yeah.
had a lot of toxicity and I was very stagnant and very stuck and couldn't really get things done like I really need to. Why? Because I was emotionally broken, right? In some
Right.
areas. So while I had accomplished a whole lot, I knew I couldn't rest on my laurels because I knew God had so much more. And I knew He wanted to stretch me beyond my capacity, but I could not do it with the wrong energy around me, with toxicity around me. You hear him talk about narcissists. I talk to so many of those types of individuals. And I was like, is
Yeah.
there something with me, Lord? I have to question God, what's going on with me?
Yes.
But that wasn't the case. And God was, where we were once broken, you got to heal. And once you
That's
heal and the right
it.
person
What
comes
is
to your
that?
life,
That's
my
it.
God, from Zion, your life will take off. So I
That's
feel like right now, because of a healthy relationship, like a healthy companion in my life, I feel like I can do anything. I feel like I'm invincible. And so that's the first thing we have to do is we got to heal so that we can continue to do it God at a different capacity, in a different realm of what
right.
God wants us to do it at. It's just totally different.
Right. Right.
I feel
That's
like I'm
one.
winning.
Yeah, and you are, and listen, and you have been, and we start when we start really tapping into
Yeah.
who we are as an individual person, an individual thinker, knowing our purpose, knowing our vision, and who God has called us to be. And when we are in alignment with God, and He has given us that vision and that purpose for our life, of course, He's going to cultivate it. Of course, He's going to set someone in your path to help you do this thing, dynamically as a dual. So it is definitely that, but we have to be healed first. We have to be whole, and do what you can with what you have, right? Be
Yes.
that independent woman that you are before you become codependent,
Yes.
right? on
Yes.
on somebody else, and that's just how it works, and it's just so wonderful of all of what God is giving and all of what He's doing. So thank you once again for coming on to share with us on today. This
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. It's International Women's Month all month long. On next Monday, we're going to have another amazing guest that will be sharing with us. Listen, we're talking about building credit. We're talking about living the good life, understanding where you are, recognizing who you are and the vision and the purpose that you have. We're going to be teaching and talking about becoming homeowners as women as well. And then we have an amazing guest that will close us out at the end of this month, Pastor Theodora Moten. She's going to come and share single women wisdom and wealth. Listen, you all don't want to miss it. Thank you, Shateka, for coming on to share with us today. Did you have a happy Merry Monday today?
I did. I'm excited. Listen, retirement is not an age. Retirement is an income. Just remember
That's
that.
right. That's right. I like that. Happy Merry Monday, everyone.